Hey guys, Levi Webb here, and on this channel, we are building a real estate portfolio from scratch, or you can watch me lose a bunch of money trying. So, for those of you that liked my last videos where I talked to you while I'm out on my runs or on my mountain bike rides, sorry to say, today is all business. Today is all about the spreadsheets. Today, what we're doing is we are building a buy box. And I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Zuber for the buy box explanation. This is not the only time um, I've had a buy box explained to me, but Michael Zuber does a particularly good job of explaining what a buy box is and how to build one out. So after you watch mine, if you still got questions, by all means, look up Michael Zuber and any of his videos about building a buy box, and he will regurgitate much of the same information that I'm going to give you here, but with much more experience than I have. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video because I really want to get in depth. There's a lot of numbers to go over here. But do stick with me because this is a very important part of making sure that you don't lose money. And when it comes to real estate investing, that is Warren Buffett's top two rules of investing. Don't lose money. All right, so let me share my screen here and we will get into building a buy box. First of all, let's talk about what is a buy box and what isn't a buy box. So a buy box is just the box around the real estate that you are looking to buy. And really, it should be a box around the real estate that you're looking at, period. So I'm in the US. In the US, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of homes for sale. There's multifamily units for sale. There's commercial units for sale. There, all sorts of different property opportunities are out there. And you can't buy them all, and you certainly can't be an expert in all of them. So your buy box is just a small subsection of the overall housing market where you will become the market expert for those particular houses, right? So for that, you want to generally narrow it down to what kind of property are you looking for? Are you looking for single family homes? Are you looking for mobile homes? You're looking for things that are rural? You're looking for farmland? You're looking to fix and flip? Are you looking for multifamily homes? Right? You don't do them all. Pick one. Pick one that will cash flow, or pick one that you can be the expert in and follow that out. So in my case, I'm targeting single family homes in Lubbock. Now that is still too broad, and hopefully today we're going to kind of go over some of the market information in Lubbock and kind of pick out maybe what is a good way to narrow down further what the buy box is. So even within choosing a smaller market, small-ish market, Lubbock is kind of hit a sweet spot. It's not tiny. It's not 800 people, but it's not enormous, right? It's not Chicago. Um, it's not millions of people. But still, it needs to be narrowed down so that hopefully in that buy box you got less than maybe more than 20 but less than 100 homes that are in that buy box at any given time, and then from there you should be able to become an expert in all the houses that meet that criteria and know when and how to get a good real estate deal. So let me run you through exactly how I've built my buy box, though I do tell you I don't have it completely narrowed down yet. Um, I might tell you some of the reasons why as we get to them. All right, there we go. I hope you can all see my screen now. So here's what I've got so far. This is one sexy spreadsheet, if you ask me. But let me tell you how I got here. So on this spreadsheet is every for sale property in Lubbock, Texas that is not excluded by my criteria. All right. And I am not a realtor, so I do not have access to the MLS. Hopefully, at some point, that will change because some of us would like access to the MLS without having to be part of this little cartel. But if you don't have access to the MLS, here's what you can do. Here's what I did. Went to I went to Redfin, and it's important to use Redfin for this if you're going to follow the way I did it, because Zillow doesn't have this particular feature. So in Redfin, I put in the zip codes, all the zip codes in Lubbock. Now I had to do one or two or three at a time because it's only going to return 350 results at a time. And if you want more than 350 results at a time, you're going to have to narrow it down. So in this case, I'm going to put in 79411. I'm going to change it to homes for sale. And what we got here is all the homes for sale in 79411. Now, for my instances, I know that I don't want any houses that are $10 million. I don't want them $1 million. I really want things that are about under $300,000. If they're more expensive than that, I can guarantee they probably don't make sense. They probably are not going to cash flow. I'm a cash flow investor, and I'm not interested in houses that don't cash flow. So let's get them out of the way, not put them on the spreadsheet. Now the home type, I only want houses, multifamily. I'm not interested in mobile homes right now, not interested in condos, not interested in townhouses, not interested in co-ops. And I'll tell you why. It's because a lot of those have an HOA. Maybe you like an HOA, you do you. I am perfectly happy without my neighbors deciding what color my mailbox has to be. So I absolutely do not want any real estate that is in any way associated with an HOA. I would consider it if I saw the right deal, and the HOA was reined in and only everybody pitched in to maintain a shared road. Fine, I'm down. Let's make sure the road stays good. But I don't need anybody telling me, how nice the lawn has to be, or, when you can use your leaf blower, or what color your mailbox has to be. No HOA. So we're getting those out of the way. Now on Redfin, you can scroll to the bottom here, and you'll see this little section right here. You can download all of those houses into a spreadsheet. So hit the download button, downloads into a spreadsheet, copy and paste from that spreadsheet into a master spreadsheet. In my case, I had to do this a couple times. You can see there's 62 homes in this search. If you try to search all of Lubbock, there's going to be close to 2,000. But it will only let you export 350 at a time. So maybe you want to do 2 or 3 regions at a time. So here's 79411. Here's 79412. And we'll get both of those. There we go, 105 homes, and we'll export it into the spreadsheet. I'm not going to run you through all that copy and paste business. But in the end, you should end up with a master spreadsheet that has all of your listings on it. All right. That is not the end of things, right? That will give you all of the bedrooms, bathrooms, prices, zip codes, square footage, a whole bunch of bonus information that's probably not terribly interesting. The MLS number, copy it all, paste it in there, and then you're going to want to add on to the spreadsheet to get some real information, because the number ultimately that we're looking for is way over here on the right. That's this column right here. That is way over here on the right. It's this column right here, the yield. Okay. So, or some people might call it cash on cash. What we're looking for is the ratio between the amount of money you put in to the deal and the amount of money you get out each year. That's going to be the yield. Now, you're not going to get that just exporting from Redfin. So what you want to do is add some extra columns. So right here on column AA is the end of the Redfin data. These are the coordinates. I don't delete the coordinates just for logistics purposes of building the spreadsheet. Coordinates probably not important to you. You might be able to find something useful out of them. So in my first column is the offer price. So the list price is provided by Redfin. It's over here, list price, column H. Now my offer price right now is set to be 100% of the list price. However, it is unlikely that I will offer 100% of list price, especially if that house has been on the market for a little while, or if I have other houses to choose from. And in this case, in Lubbock, a lot of houses are sitting on the market. There's not a lot of buyers going on right now. This is one of my reasons for choosing the Lubbock market in the first place. And this is bound to change soon. So I'm hoping to get some deals done before it becomes a seller's market again. So you'll see over here, I have a couple of different variables that I can change that will change all of the information in my other columns. And one of them is percent of sale price. If I set that to 90%, that will update that offer price to 90% of what the list price is. Now, all the other numbers are going to be based not on the list price, but on the offer price. Because ultimately, we want to find out what our offer has to be to make our numbers work, to make that yield come out to be the number that we want it to be. So you put in your offer price. Your down payment is going to be calculated based on a percentage of your offer price. In my case, I'm expecting to have to put down 25%. That's another one of those variables over here that I can change. But right now we're going to leave it. 25% is going to be the down payment. So column AC is down payment. Repair cost, in my case, I am hoping to buy turnkey rentals right now. Right now, there are some that make sense. I don't need to buy them all, but you can buy turnkey rentals in Lubbock that will cash flow. I live 2,000 miles away, and I don't really want to get into renovating houses right off the bat. So I'm hoping to buy turnkey. So ideally, this repair cost will stay empty. Closing cost, I'm using 3% of the offer price as a closing cost, and that will hopefully incorporate all the expenses of just getting the house sold. With this new NAR settlement, it might fluctuate depending on what you work out with your realtor. I'm using 3% in these calculations. Now, from all those previous numbers, you should be able to calculate total cash. So total cash is your down payment plus your repair cost plus your total or plus your closing cost is the total cash that you're putting into the deal. That's going to be one of the important numbers for your yield calculation. Now, the next one is your interest rate. Again, this is a variable that I put in the box on the far left over here. I can change that because interest rates are going to change on a daily basis. Right now, I just talked to a lender yesterday. They told me based on my credit and whatnot, I am likely to be able to secure a 6.6% investor interest rate with 25% down. So 6.6%. Amortization schedule, 360 months. That's the 30-year loan. That is what I'm going for. Finance percent. So if you're putting 25% down, it's 75% financed. Now, that means that 75% times your offer price is going to be the amount financed. Now, based on your amount financed, this is a rather complicated formula, but I'm not going to go over it with you in detail. But based on your amount financed, your interest rate, your amortization schedule, you should be able to determine your monthly payment. In Google Sheets or Excel, there is a formula for this that is PMT. So go ahead and look up how to do the PMT or payment. This first column or this first row, this one that I'm highlighting here, it's probably not a good example of a house because it's the very first one, which means it's going to be an outlier in my data. So I'm not going to get too hung up on the numbers for this particular house, but insurance. So this is going to vary by where you live. In Lubbock, 1% is of the appraised value is likely a good estimate for insurance. It's not going to be exact. It is an estimate, but 1%, when estimating, I recommend that you estimate on the side of caution, right? Don't fudge your numbers to force the number at the end to look good. If anything, underestimate the cost for insurance, underestimate the cost for taxes, and overestimate the amount of rent you're going to get, right? If those numbers do look better upon actually getting it rented, congratulations, that's fantastic. You've made some money. You don't want it to go the other way around and have what you thought was a good deal turn into an alligator because you fudged your numbers. So insurance, 1%. Taxes, the number I'm using is 2%. Depending on where you're at, you're going to have to figure out how the taxes work in your particular zip code. In Texas, property taxes are unusually high because they don't have an income tax. So most of their taxes have to come from property taxes. To be honest with you, it was a turnoff at first. I've warmed up to it. The number that I'm using to estimate is 2%. Even in Lubbock, this can fluctuate from somewhere between 1.75% to 2.75%. But this spreadsheet is not gospel. This is to get me a rough idea of what properties are going to make sense and what properties are not going to make sense. Another number you're going to need to know, because these are all the expenses. So you see anything that has a negative on it, that's an expense. These are things that you have to pay every month. So you got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your insurance, you got to pay your taxes. And in my case, there will be property management. This is going to be usually somewhere in the 10% of rent. I've talked to a couple property managers now. They've told me 10% is what they charge. So 10% of the rent goes to property management as an added expense. Now I've got utilities and others. Typically, um, the the tenants will pay the utilities. That's what I'm hoping for. But there, you also need to set aside 5% or so in my market for vacancy. It may be different in your market, and another 5% or so for repairs. So that's going to be another expense. So next column, total monthly expenses. That's going to take all of those previous columns, the mortgage payment, insurance, taxes, property management, and others or reserves, and it's going to add them all together to come up with your total expenses. Now, monthly rent. If you want, you can, the way I've done this, I'm going to tell you how I've done this. Because the spreadsheet is just to get a general idea, I've created an algorithm that estimates what the rent is going to be. Now, it's not foolproof. My particular algorithm is to kind of get a general idea of what the rents are in the area. Now, rents are going to be different based on what neighborhood you're in, how nice the house is, how many bedrooms the house has, as well as a variety of other factors, right? Which school district the house is in. These are all going to affect rents. Now, I'm just getting a general idea here. So the algorithm I've used is $1,000 plus 20 cents per square foot. With Redfin, you can import how many square feet the house is. So $1,000 plus 20 cents per square foot. Take that number and subtract. I'm using $4 per month for every year old that the house is. This means that I'm giving a premium in rent to newer houses. If a house is 3 years old, we'll be deducting $12 per month. But if the house is 100 years old, we will be deducting $400 per month off of that. Because in general, people like to live in the newer houses. That less maintenance and generally just set up in a way that more people are willing to pay a premium. So once you got those numbers together, you should be able to subtract or you should be able to take the monthly rent number and your total monthly expenses, subtract the total monthly expenses from the monthly rent, and that will give you net monthly cash flow, which is AR, column AR here. And from that, you multiply it by 12, and that will give you the yearly cash flow. Now, can go off of yearly cash flow if you want. I like to go off of yield. So the yield is going to be AS here, yearly cash flow, divided by as we mentioned before, it's going to be divided by your total amount of cash right here, AF. And that will give you a percentage. That means that in the case, let's use this one right here because this is a pretty good example. In the case of line number 56 here, that is 4210 63rd Street. That's going to mean that for this deal, if you put in $30,000 worth of cash, you'll be making you can expect to make approximately 6.77% per year on that $30,000 down payment slash closing costs, etc. Now, everything on this spreadsheet looks pretty good because once I put these all these calculations in and ran them on everything in Lubbock, Texas, my next step was to come over here and arrange sort from A to Z or Z to A, depending on what your preference is. I'm going to go ahead and swap it just so you can see the difference. I'm going to swap to sort from A to Z. And now you'll see here, now the yield numbers are all negative. That is not what you want. You do not want a house that is negative. That means you have negative cash flow. That means your monthly expenses are more than the rent is bringing in. And the bigger that number is, the more money you're putting into it. If you are investing for appreciation, not my jam. But if you are investing for appreciation, this might not be a big deal for you. You might be okay putting in $1,000 a month into your property or whatever. Not what I'm looking for. What we're looking for is farther down when things start looking better. So right around here, around 957. So most of the properties in Lubbock, Texas have a negative yield based on these calculations. However, I don't need most of the properties in Lubbock, Texas. I'm just looking for properties that cash flow. And all of these ones in blue theoretically cash flow. Now, you might be interested, or you might want to start here at the bottom and be greedy and say 37%. That's fantastic. Anytime there's 37% yield, there's a catch, is what I can tell you. So 30, let's click on this 36%, and let's go ahead and check out the house that's involved with this 36% yield. So this is actually probably not a bad deal. It looks like it's a very small house in a reasonably a reasonably hard economically hit neighborhood. So it does look like this one would probably cash flow at $50,000. Might be hard to get a loan for that. You might have to pay $50,000 right out of your pocket, which might destroy your yield. But supposing you only put in 25%, finance the rest, this would probably cash flow. You might have a headache with your tenants. Maybe not. Somebody's got to provide housing to everybody. So if that's you, cool. This is not a property that I want in my buy box. This is not what I'm looking at. In general, all these ones here that are 10% to 37%, probably some sort of house that is a fixer-upper. Like I mentioned, I am not in the fix and flip business. So I'm not in particular looking for homes that need work. This one actually, both these last two, they actually don't look like bad deals, but I'm not really looking for homes that need work. I'm not trying to hit grand slams here. I'm trying to hit singles and doubles all day long. So let's look for some singles and doubles here. I think that 10% is very good, right? So let's look at some of these homes that are 10%, and even some of my favorites will probably be down here in the 3% yield. Now remember, these yield numbers are going to go up when you change the offer price to below 100%. But it is good to know that you could offer 100% of the asking price and still make 3% yield. So you'll see here that I've copied over the links from Redfin, just so I can scroll over and get a look at the house before I actually click on it, because sometimes something looks like a great deal, but then you see the first picture and it's been in a fire And I appreciate people who fix those kinds of houses up because God knows we need more houses. That's not my jam. I'm not in the fire restoration business. So here's a nice looking house, $95,000. Um, Granite countertops, 2-2. I'm probably looking for a larger house. I'm most likely going to focus on 3 and 4 bedroom houses. I would prefer to have fewer tenants that pay a little more money every month is would be my preference, but I'm open to seeing where the deals are. So here's a nice looking house, $95,000. We'll look at what part of the neighborhood it's in. It is in the low income part of town, not a deal breaker. Um, if it's in like the C neighborhoods, not exactly what I'm looking for. So back to the buy box. I'm going to show you one that I think is a great deal if I can find it. Right over here, let's say, and it kind of surprised me because it only came in at 3% yield or so. If I can find which one I'm looking for. Maybe a 3.9% yield. So anything that looks like it's going to cash flow is in my buy box technically, but I'm going to be a little bit selective right off the bat on the houses that I pick. So this one, I'm not opposed. Personally, I think it's an ugly looking house, but I don't have to live there, and somebody's probably happy to live there at a reasonable price. But this one says, "Are you looking for a next project?" I am not looking for a next project. However, this is a duplex that has 2 3 bedroom 1 bath units. Um, so I can guarantee once it's fixed up, it will likely cash flow. I am not in the market to fix anything. Let's move on. So this is the last one we'll take a look at. So this house looks like it needs a little bit of work, but nothing major. It looks like it's probably ready to be rented. It's not going to rent for much. I'm going to be honest with you. I would much rather look for something. So let's go ahead and look by yearly cash flow. Let's look at one that is here with the about 2,200% cash flow. All right, this is another fixer upper. Again, not my jam. But we don't have to go through all these houses. I just wanted to show you my process of building out a buy box. Um, uh, Maybe you can learn a little bit something from it. My next step will be to, after I've looked at all these houses and all these neighborhoods, I want to find the trends. You can use lots of tools once you have all your data organized like this. You can find the mode on the zip codes to find out where all these deals are happening most. In my case, I've done that already over on this spreadsheet. That would be in an area code that's just slightly outside of Lubbock. Seems to be where the highest density of good deals are coming from. And all these ones that are in the negative yield, your buy box, well, first of all, it gives you permission to ignore them, right? You by all means look at them, right? Because you want to know these are houses that are in competition with your house. It's the prices of these houses that are going to determine the price of your house. It's the rents on these houses that are going to determine the rents on your house. So do learn them. But uh, by organizing all of your data like this, you're going to have a much better idea of what a good deal in your market is. Um, and once you learn what a good deal in your market, it gives you permission to ignore all of the thousands and thousands and thousands of other things for sale. Because you don't want just to buy something, you want to buy something that makes money. And so do I. Please like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. And leave me any questions or comments down below in the comment box. Thanks for joining.